This video contains optional practice on substitution method. Step 1. Find a y equals or x equals equation. We've got it right here. Step 2. Substitute. Take the y stuff, we know that stuff's equal to y, and sub it into the other equation instead of the y. So you write this equation without the y in it. Put parentheses there instead. Now instead of the y, you're going to take the stuff that you know y is equal to, this stuff, and sub it in. What you've done is you've created an equation that now only has one variable in it. You've combined your two equations. Now you can solve. You can get x by itself. So distribute. Add your like terms. Think money, lose $2, lose 18, you're now 20 in the hole. And now solve for x. Undo what's been done to x by doing the opposite. I'm going to do the opposite of adding 33, which is to subtract 33. Think money. Lose 7, lose 33. You're now 40 in the hole. Now undo multiplying by negative 20, which is to divide by negative 20. X equals 2. I'm half done. Now go back to one of your original equations. It can be any of the first two equations. I like to take the x equals or y equals. You know that x equals 2. So replace the x with a 2. 6 right next to a 2 means 6 times 2. Y equals 1. Now I have both the x and y coordinate. The last step is to write my answer. The x coordinate is 2, the y coordinate is 1, and there's my answer. Number 4, another nice one. I call it a nice one because they've already done step 1 for me. I already have a y equals equation. So now I can move right to step 2, which is the substitution step. I'm going to take the y equals stuff and sub it into the other equation instead of the y. So I'll rewrite this equation right here, negative 3x minus 3y, but take out the y, and instead put in the stuff that we know y is equal to, negative 5x minus 17. Step 3, solve. Find what x is. So distribute. Don't forget to distribute that negative right along with the 3. So a negative 3 times a negative 5x will be a positive 15x. And negative 3 times negative 17 is going to be positive 51. Now add your like terms. Negative 3x, positive 15x. Think money. You lose 3, you gain back 15, that's going to be 12 to the good. And now undo what's been done to the x. Subtract 51 from both sides. Think money, you had $3, you lost 51, now you're 48 in the hole. Undo multiplying by 12, so divide by 12 on both sides. And you get x equals negative 4. We're half done. Step 4. Take one of your original equations. Doesn't matter which one. You know that x is negative 4, so sub that in. Negative 5 right next to negative 4 means to multiply it. A negative times a negative is a positive. So positive 20 minus 17. So y is 3. Last step, write your answer. The x-coordinate is negative 4. The y-coordinate is 3. There's the answer. Step 1. Find or make a y equals or x equals equation. How do you choose? I like to choose an x or a y that has a coefficient of positive 1 if I can. So I'm going to choose this one. Now I can easily solve for y. Y equals 4x plus 6. Step 2, the substitution step. Take the stuff that you know y is equal to and sub it into your other equation for the y. Don't forget your parentheses here. We're going to have to distribute that negative. So now put the y stuff in instead of the y. You've combined your equations. And now solve. We'll distribute this negative. Add like terms. Solve for x. We're half done. We know what x is. We still need y. So take one of your original equations, or the one you made, and sub in what you know. You know now that x is negative 3. Four right next to negative 3 means to multiply. Now we have negative 12 plus 6. Think money. You're 12 in the hole and you win 6 back. Now you're only 6 in the hole. Y equals negative 6. So your answer is the x coordinate of negative 3, the y coordinate of negative 6. Step 1, find an x equals or a y equals equation. Or make one. We're going to have to make one here. How do I choose what to solve for? I could solve for any one of these variables. I'm going to pick the one that has a coefficient of positive 1. It will be easiest. So I'm going to solve for that x to make an x equals equation. I'll move that 2y over. Step 2, substitute. Take the x stuff and put it into the other equation and substitute it in instead of the x. So it'll look like this. Negative 7, take out the x. Instead of the x, put the stuff that we know x is equal to. Now you have one equation with one variable, solve it. Distribute. Add like terms. Think money, negative 14, negative 2, that's negative 16y.
Yeah, I haven't got to that point yet.
Sorry.
Undo what's been done to the y. Divide both sides by negative 16. I'm half done. Now that I know the y coordinate, let's find the x coordinate. Use one of your original equations. You can use this one, or this one. I like to use the one I made. Sometimes I even get to where I do this step in my head. I don't even write it down. X equals 3. So write your answer. The x coordinate is 3, y coordinate is negative 4. There's the answer. Step 1. Get a x equals or y equals. I'm going to choose this equation, and I'm going to make it into a y equals. Again, I look for a y with a coefficient of 1. positive 1. That will keep me from having any icky fractions or decimals that I have to deal with. Step 2, the substitution step. Take the stuff that y is equal to and sub it into the other equation instead of the y. So write your equation, this one, without the y in it. Put parentheses there instead. And instead sub in the stuff that you know y is equal to, the y equals stuff. Once you have that, you can do step 3. Just solve for x. Find what x is. Distribute. Add like terms. Think money. You lose 3, you win back 30, you're 27 to the good. That's 27x. Undo what's been done to the x. So add 12 to both sides. Ooh, equals 0. So when I divide both sides by 27, 0 divided by 27 is 0. So the x-coordinate is 0. We're half done. Now we just need to find the y-coordinate. Take one of your equations and sub in x is equal to 0. Again, I would probably do this in my head, technically. Now that you have the y-coordinate, you write your answer as an ordered pair. The x-coordinate is 0, the y-coordinate is -2. That's the answer. Those two x and y coordinates will satisfy these two equations. When I sub them in, I will get true equations. Step 1. Make an x equals or y equals equation. Ew. The reason I say ew is there's no x or y that has a coefficient of +1. So I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and pick one. I'm going to pick this x right here. So I'll take this equation and solve for x. I could have just as easily picked any of the other x's or y's in this system. See why this is a little ishy. I'm going to have fractions or decimals. Let's do decimals here. So 7/2, that's 3.5. And 17/2, that's 8.5. So my numbers aren't as nice, but they'll still work. Step 2, the substitution step. Take your x equals stuff and put it into the other equation instead of the x. Make sure it's the other equation. You can't use the equation that you just used to find your x equals equation. So it'll look like this. -5, take out the x, and instead put in the x stuff. Now you have one equation, one variable. It looks icky, but it's there. I'm going to use a calculator to help me. -5 times 3.5, I will have -17.5y. And -5 times -8.5 will be +42.5. Add your like terms. -17.5 and -8 makes -25.5y. Undo what's been done to the y. To undo adding 42.5, you'll subtract 42.5. Again, I use a calculator to help me. And then I'll divide both sides by 25.5. Actually, negative 25.5. So I'll get y is equal to 1. Oh, look at that. It came out as a nice number even though I had a bunch of decimals. That doesn't have to happen. It did for us this time. Next step. Take your y equals or x equals equation. Actually, any of your equations will work. I know that y is 1, so sub that in. 3.5 times 1 minus 8.5. You could just throw that into a calculator. 3.5 times 1 is 3.5. 3.5 minus 8.5 is negative 5. So x equals negative 5. So then write your answer. The x coordinate, negative 5. The y coordinate, 1. Step 5. There's your answer.